within that particular time, the contract becomes voidable at the option of the buyer. The buyer has full freedom to either reject the goods, that means not to take the delivery of the goods, or take the delivery of goods. Suppose if 15 days time is given for the supply of goods, the buyer can refuse to take the possession of the goods or may take the possession of the goods. So even after, say, the seller, if he supplies after 20 days, although he had promised to supply the goods within 15 days, but if in case the seller supplies it after 20 days, the buyer has the freedom to either reject the goods or to accept the goods. So the contract becomes voidable at the option of the buyer. That means the contract can become void at the option of the buyer if he rejects the goods which have been delivered late, or alternatively he can accept the goods if the buyer needs the goods urgently and may not get those goods from some alternate sources. So the buyer has the option to take the possession of the goods even after the stipulated time, and the contract would remain valid. So when the buyer takes the possession of the goods, the buyer has to give a notice to the seller that the goods had been delivered late and this had caused inconvenience to the buyer, and the buyer can claim the damages under the contract. So the contract is voidable at the option of the buyer, and the buyer, if he wills, can take the possession of the goods and the contract can remain viable or valid. Where time is not the essence of the contract, failure to perform within the stipulated time does not make the contract voidable. So if no time is given in the stipulations under the contract, then the contract would not become voidable at the option of the promisee. And the promisee cannot make that contract voidable. So it's not at the option of the promisee to make the contract void. And but then there should be a reasonable time within which the performance has to be made by the promiser. And if it exceeds that reasonable time, like for example, reasonable time may be say 2 months or 3 months, and within that time, if the contract, the promiser does not fulfill the promise, then in that case, the contract may become voidable at the option of the promisee. Like for example, if the promiser performs after 6 months, so naturally it can be voidable at the option of the promisee, and the promisee will not accept that delayed performance. In case number 3, in case of a contract voidable on account of the promiser's failure to perform the promise within the agreed time or within a reasonable time, as the case may be, if the promisee, instead of rescinding the contract, that is cancelling the contract, accepts the delayed performance, he cannot afterwards claim compensation for any loss caused by the delay unless at the time of accepting the delayed performance, he gives a notice to the promiser of his intention to do so. That means to accept the delayed performance. So in case the contract is voidable, although the time may be given or may not be given, or within a reasonable time, the promisee can accept the performance, the delayed performance, but then has to give a notice to the performer or the promiser that okay, I'm accepting the delayed performance, although it has caused inconvenience to me, but then damages will have to be claimed, or compensation would have to be made for the loss that has been caused to me by the delayed performance. Suppose in the sale of goods, if the seller has delayed the performance and handed over the goods after that agreed time, or after not within a reasonable time. So in that case, the buyer, since the buyer may have to sell or may have to deliver those goods to some other party, so this may cause inconvenience to the buyer, although the buyer can accept the delayed performance, but then he can claim compensation for that delayed performance, and but then has to give a notice to the seller that you have caused inconvenience to me, and I have lost business as a result of your delayed performance. So this compensation can be claimed from the seller. Yes, anything related to this slide? There's any doubt? Now the appropriation of payments. Suppose there's a debtor who has taken a number of or borrowed number of say money at different times from the creditor, and has to return that amount to the creditor. And now suppose there are 4 or 5 such debts which have to be then returned back by the debtor to the creditor, and the payments have to be made, for example, in installments. And so if there are outstanding those debts, a number of debts, to which of the debts any of those payments have to be made? Number one, the debtor's express instructions must be followed. For example, there are 5 such debts that the debtor owes to the creditor, and the debtor gives a specific instruction that this particular payment should be applied to the second debt of say 30,000. The first one may be for 1 lakh. So he may say clear that second debt totally, and may give a payment of say 30,000 plus the interest on that to the creditor. So the debtor's express instructions must be followed. I mean, the creditor on his own cannot apply that payment to any of those debts. Then debtor's implied intention must be followed. Now, if there's no express instruction that is given by the debtor while paying that particular amount to the creditor, then debtor's implied intention must be followed. Like, for example, today, on 1st of September, a promissory note was given by the debtor to the creditor in 2019, and that promissory note was to then mature on 1st of September 2021. And this promissory note was for say 50,000 rupees. Although there may be other debts which the creditor, which the debtor owes to the creditor. But this 50,000 amount, since it was to be returned on or paid on 1st of September 2021, and the debtor then pays this amount on 1st of September 2021. So this is the implied intention, because there's no other debt which amounts to 50,000. There's only this much of debt that matures, or this promissory against the promissory note that matures on 1st of September 2021, and on 1st of September 2021 the debtor pays this much amount, that is 50,000. So it's implied by the payment of 50,000 on 1st of September 2021 that the debtor's intention was to clear this particular debt against the promissory note that was given in 2019. So the debtor's implied intention has to be followed by the creditor. Then appropriation by creditor. Now in case there's no instruction that is given by the debtor, or there's no implied intention that can be followed, so the creditor on his own can apply that debt according to the law. That is, the first of the debts has to be cleared. So if there are 5 such debts that arise, so the creditor can apply that amount which is given by the debtor towards the clearance of the first debt. That means the first one, according to law, has to be cleared. Then appropriation by law. Usually, if no instruction is given, then according to the time, the creditor has to apply that amount to the clearance of the debt. That is by first to the oldest one, and then to the other debts according to time. Or suppose if there are equal said debts, or like for example, the creditor has given lend the amount of 50,000 each year to the debtor, so they are of equal amounts, and 50,000 has been given, for example, by the debtor. So proportionately this amount can be applied to all the debts, 10,000 each to all the debts. Then when principal and interest are both due, so usually the principle is that the amount should be applied first to the payment of the interest, and then to the payment of principal. So first the interest has to be cleared for the period of the borrowed amount, and then the principal has to be cleared. So first the payment has to be applied to the principal, and then to the the payment has to be applied first to the interest and then to the principal amount. And this is what the banks also do. So this is the general principle that is followed. Then contracts that need not be performed. If parties to a contract agree to novation, rescission, or alteration, the original contract need not be performed. In such cases, the original contract disappears and is substituted by a new contract. Now, this novation means that a major change is made in the original contract, where some of those clauses, they are changed. There is a material change that is brought in that earlier contract, along with a change in the parties to the contract. So when there's novation, sometimes even the parties to the contract, they may be changed. So when parties to the contract are changed, for example, A had to pay a certain amount to B, and now A requires that C should pay that amount to B. So now C has substituted A. In this case, there is novation, where the parties to the contract, they have changed. So there is, say, a substitution of those parties. And when there is novation, the original contract is substituted by a new contract. So when the party who is substituted, for example, if earlier this contract was between A and B, and A is substituted by C, so naturally A need not perform. A is now excused from performance. If the novation is made between the parties, and the old contract is substituted by a new contract where C would take up the responsibility of paying that amount to B instead of A. Second is rescission, that is rescinding the contract, where both the parties, they agree to terminate that contract. So in case of termination of a contract, both the parties, they are excused from performance, and they may sign a new contract in place of the earlier contract. Or if there is alteration. Alteration happens when there's no change in the members or in the parties to the contract. When there's no change in the parties to the contract, but then there is a material change in the terms of the contract. Suppose there may be a change in the price, there may be a change in the specifications relating to the goods, there may be a change in where the goods are to be handed over to the buyer. So there may be those changes, some alterations made in the contract between the two parties which had entered into the contract. The parties do not substitute with some new parties, and in such cases, the new contract would then become valid, and the old contract becomes void. So the new contract replaces the earlier contract in case of alteration as well. So if the parties agree to novation, rescission, or alteration, the original contract need not be performed. In such cases, the original contract disappears and is substituted by a new contract. So with respect to the old contract, naturally the performances which they had promised, they need not be performed by the promisers. If parties to a contract agree to dispense with or remit performance of the promise, either wholly or in part, the original contract stands discharged. So if there is remission of the contract, that means if the promisee remits the performance. For example, if the borrower had taken up, borrowed say 5,000 rupees from the creditor and is not able to pay back that amount within that particular time period, and the the creditor assesses his financial ability, that the debtor would not be able to pay, he may remit a particular amount. For example, remit 3,000 and would ask, okay, if you have the ability to pay only 2,000, at least pay me 2,000. So this is remission. And the performance of the promisor, that is of the debtor, stands discharged. And if the creditor takes that accepts that remitted performance, then later on the creditor cannot ask for any compensation from the debtor. So if the creditor accepts this lesser performance, then later on he cannot ask the debtor to make the full performance. This is called remission. When a person at whose option a contract is voidable rescinds it, that means terminates it, the other party thereto need not perform his promise. So when a person who has the option of rescinding the contract, because the contract becomes voidable, the other party need not perform his promise. Like, for example, in case, suppose I have to go to Delhi and I ask a taxi, operator to send the taxi at, say, 6 a.m. because I have to reach by all means by 10 in Delhi. And he sends the taxi at, say, 7:30 p.m., 7:30 a.m. So after 1.5 hours, and I think that I won't be able to reach Delhi by 10. So in this case, this contract is voidable at my option, because now I can cancel that contract. I can rescind that contract with the taxi operator because of this time frame which he was not able to observe. And if I rescind that contract, because this is voidable and at my option, and so the other party there too need not perform his promise. That means the taxi operator will not take me to Delhi, but then I will claim damages from the taxi operator for wasting my time. And suppose if it's a very it's a business, say some deal which I had to take up in Delhi, or lost an opportunity of getting a business in Delhi, then I There was some network problem. So when a person at whose option contract is voidable rescinds it, the other party there to need not perform his promise, and so the other party is excused. Now, in case suppose time is not the critical factor, and the it doesn't matter whether I reach Delhi at 10 a.m. or at 11 or 12 noon, then in that case, although it's voidable because the taxi operator sent that taxi instead of 6 a.m. sent the taxi at 7:30 a.m., still I can accept the performance. Suppose I have to go to Delhi and the time doesn't matter. So in that case, I can accept that performance, and of course, if I accept that performance without giving any notice to him about the inconvenience that is caused to me, then in that case, if I accept that performance, delayed performance, then the contract would remain valid, although it was voidable at my option. Number 4, if any promisee neglects or refuses to afford the promiser reasonable facilities for the performance of his promise, the promiser is excused for the non-performance of the contract. So if any promisee neglects or refuses, now if the promisee does not afford reasonable, say, that assistance or facilities to the promiser for his performance, then the promiser is excused for non-performance of the contract. Like, for example, if I make a contract with a painter to paint my house on Sunday, and he has to start the work on Sunday morning at say 9 a.m. and he comes at 9 a.m. as per his promise along with the paint and everything, but I do not open my gate for him, so I do not afford the promiser the reasonable facility for performance. I do not let him enter my premises. So in that case, the painter would be excused for the non-performance of the contract. And I would refuse that now I don't want you to paint my house. So in that case, the excuser, the painter, is excused for non-performance of the contract, and then the painter can then sue me in the court of law for claiming damages because he had lost the business on Sunday, because although there were other parties where he had taken up the contract of painting, but he lost business for that particular day. So damages may be claimed against me in the court of law. Yes, anything relating to this slide? If there is no, say, confusion, then we can move on to the other topic. So the new topic is discharge of contract. Discharge of contract means that sorry, the parties, they are released from their obligations. Once they perform, they are released from their obligations. Or if they are not led to perform, again they would be released from the performance, from their obligations. So usual discharge is when both the parties, they make their performances and they no longer have to do what they agreed. That means now they have performed fully to the satisfaction of the promisee, and nothing is left for performance. So the natural way of discharge of contract is when both the parties to the contract, they perform their obligations fully and there's nothing left. Number one is discharge by performance. First is actual performance. That is when both of the parties, they perform fully to the satisfaction of the promisee and nothing is left for outstanding. So both the parties, they make their performances and there is nothing left. And second is attempted performance or tender. When the promiser attempts to perform, then again his obligations, they end, because although the performer was willing to perform, the other party did not let him to perform. So this tendering the performance or a tender or attempted performance, it is equal to performance by way of say fully trying to perform, but due to some reason he's not able to perform. So by attempting to performance means although the performer or the promiser was ready to perform, but the other party did not let him perform. Like for example, I gave you in the other slide, I gave you the example of the painter who was willing to perform, willing to paint the house, but I did not let him enter my premises. So it was an attempted performance, and now that promiser is released from his obligation to paint my house and can claim damages for not letting him perform. Then second is discharge by mutual consent or agreement. Now in all these, in the last slide, we had discussed novation, alteration, rescission, remission, and waiver we did not take. Now in all these five types of agreements, where in some of them the original contract is substituted by a new contract, like for example innovation or alteration, and the parties, the performers, they are discharged from their obligations to perform. So when an existing contract is substituted by a new contract, in that case the existing obligations of the promisers, they are discharged, they are released from their obligations, they are discharged of their obligations under that earlier contract, and the new contract takes the place of the earlier contract. So we'll take up these terms in detail in the next session, because there's less than 1 minute left for this session. So we'll discuss novation, alteration, rescission, remission, and waiver in the next session. Up to this time, if there's any issue, perhaps we can take up that issue. or if anything is not clear, we can discuss that. So there's no issue. Everything is clear. Okay. So I'll end up the session for now.